Okay, so basically, the way I do the productions is have a chat with the client, find out what we're trying to achieve and what sort of music the artist is into, and then I will work with a programmer. And although I do keyboards and programming, I tend to work with a top drum programmer just to get the drums onto the top edge, and we'll develop the track. So at the end of a couple of days programming, we've got an absolute firing backing track. Then we'll bring the artist down and then work with the artist, maybe tweak the backing track and get the backing track ready for the vocalists to do their vocals. Then I bring in a vocal producer. I use top guys. I try to use people that are on the same level as me as a keyboard player, and we'll spend 2 to 3 days doing lead vocals, backing vocals, as long as it takes to get the vocals absolutely to the top standard. Then we can bring in a guitarist. I use some brilliant guitarists. Sometimes we use a brass section to get the backing track lovely, and I always work with an engineer so that we can get good quality recording of the vocals, of guitars, brass, whatever. And then lastly, I'll work on the mix once I've got all the instruments, the programming, the vocals together, and get a fantastic rough mix. And once it's absolutely slamming and everyone's happy with it, maybe the pluggers have a listen to it as well and they're happy with it, then we'll send it off to be mixed. We often do the mixing down here, but I'll bring in a top mixing engineer who's mixed hits before to mix the track, and that normally gives the tracks a really good edge. And then once we've got a great mix, we go and get it mastered. This has worked really well. It's not a production line down here. I get completely involved with every production. I delegate a little bit so that I can get a bit of space from production, so I've got overall perspective, but basically I'm involved with every stage from beginning to end to make sure that the production is absolutely the best it possibly can be. And I care very much about every production, and each production's a journey. But generally the end result is fantastic. What we often do is produce 2 or 3 tracks at a time for each artist. That way you get one track up to standard, and then this one's not quite so good, then you work on that, then you get it to a higher standard, and you got kind of a competition between the 3 tracks, and at the end of it you get 3 smashes, which is what we're looking for all the time. Recently I've done some writing with Booty Love. We wrote It's Alright and a few other tracks. I got 2 tracks which I co-wrote onto the Lamar album, which I also co-produced as well, My Boo and Better Than This. I also produced Ladies Night for Atomic Kitten, which was a Christmas hit, top 5, a few years back. And I'm currently doing a bit of work with Bad Lashes at the moment. They're a celebrity, they're an X Factor band that have got, they're singing on the current X Factor single, and we're hoping to have a hit with them at the beginning of next year. Recently I've been working with Zaya. She's absolutely exciting artist, so we've got a big showcase for her in the end of this month, and we're hoping that we'll get a deal with her. And basically the studio is always busy. When I'm not doing a production, I do let the studio out for studio walk-ins as well with one of my other engineers. I have 2 full-time engineers working for me, and basically the studio is always busy and I'm always busy, and I've got a big roster of clients now, and basically we just work basically on repeat bookings and recommendations, and sometimes we get work through the website as well. I've got a fantastic manager called Steve Tannett who has worked with the police. He worked on their publishing, and he coordinates my career and keeps me focused so that I pick and choose the jobs that I do don't take everything that I'm offered, and that keeps everything focused so that that I'm not working too hard, that I'm knackered, and I'm not doing projects that are just going to end up on a shelf. So this year's been a good year. We've also done a fair amount of music for television, and got a few adverts out there at the moment, so it's all good. Basically, I started by playing keyboards when I was 9 years old. I'm completely natural at playing keyboards. I also took up the guitar at 16 years old, and I started playing in bands, and then I started playing with major touring bands, including Terence Trent D'Arby, Boy George, Brother Beyond, and a few others. And then after that I went into playing just studio work sessions. I did 3 albums for Kathy Dennis. I've done keyboard sessions for Elton John. I played keyboards on Get Alive for Soul to Soul, and More to This World, Brother Beyond, Bad Boys Inc., which was top 5. And I played keyboards on Stay as well, which was for Eternal, which was a worldwide hit. It got to number 2 in England, and it was number 1 in America. It was just a massive hit. And at that point I decided it was a good time to get into production. When I went into production, I ended up producing I co-produced To the Next Level for Emanate, which was a platinum selling album, and we had about 4 hit records off there, including I've Got a Little Something For You. I went on to produce Peter Andre, did 4 tracks on his album, including Flavour, which I co-wrote with him and produced, which was a number 1. And we've had 14 top 10 hits now. As a producer and as a keyboard player, played on 50 hit records as well.